Judy Ho and Bobby Chacon join me now. Judy is a clinical and forensic psychologist, and Bobby is a retired FBI special agent. Welcome to you both. Bobby, I want to start with you. This is truly awful. The children were found in a shocking state, and the conditions in the house were described as horrific. Talk to me about the process of building a picture of what happened in this home.
Right, so this is how it's going to require a series of interviews with the children. They're the victims and really the only witnesses that we have. So you have the two parents who are your suspected criminals in this case, and now you've got 13 witness victims. And so really it's going to, these interviews are not going to be easy to conduct. You know, there's a lot of emotion involved. It's got to be conducted by experts who have expertise in interviewing children under these circumstances, and so it may take a series of interviews to actually sort out what was happening. You know, then the prosecutors and the investigators are going to have to sort all that out and figure out what criminal violations we actually have here. The obvious ones are kidnapping and child abuse, but you have to get the evidence to support that. That's going to have to come from those children.
Judy, to bring you in, how difficult is that going to be? Because you heard that neighbor say when she said something completely innocuous and pleasant, the children froze.
Right.
How do you begin to unpack this?
And because of the prolonged abuse that they probably suffered, they were not exposed to other people outside of the family to socialize, to have conversation, and that's probably why they acted so strangely. I'm also concerned for the cognitive development of these children, because if they have been malnourished for all of this time, it's very likely that a lot of their executive function centers didn't develop, and that's why they couldn't make good, complex decisions. And this is why it's so wonderful that this 17-year-old somehow got the wherewithal to actually break out and have the skills to do that. But I'm really concerned about how these interviews are going to go, how much they can even recall, because their learning and memory are probably impaired as well.
Yeah. Bobby, I'm going to come to the question that we always ask in these moments. How did neighbors, how did family members not suspect, not know something allegedly, I mean, there's no allegations that the kids were found in a terrible condition. Who did it? That's, you know, you can pass that. But that something terrible was happening in the house.
I mean, the biggest thing is isolation. So they kept them out of the public eye. They were homeschooled. They didn't go out socially. So nobody had contact with these children. So that was the biggest thing that they did. They isolated these children. These children, some of them have never had a conversation with anyone outside that house. You know, you have this 29-year-old daughter may have never talked to another adult in her life. Some of these children may not know bad things were happening to them because they don't know those things are bad.
But these children were seen in videos. These children were seen at their parents renewing their vows. In Vegas, these children, I mean, they were obviously...
They lined them up. If you see some of those videos, they were always lined up.
In the
very
same
regimented,
outfits,
very controlled. So even when they were in public, they were under control of those parents, mainly the father.
And the key is the control here, the fact that they really kept it under such scrutiny. And there are reports that they were basically not allowed to go outside the house unless it was dark, and only a few at a time. And I think, to Bobby's point, some of these children, because they don't know any better, this is their normal. And they were potentially probably even told by their parents that they were doing this to protect them. I mean, we don't know what kind of messages these parents are sending. And so, of course, my biggest concern now is the psychological development of these children and what's going to happen to them, because this type of abuse is much more likely, because it's so prolonged, lead to much bigger issues as they get older.
What kind of issues?
Things like dealing with social development, having relationships with other people and having those relationships be pro-social. We know that from research, 30% of people who have been abused themselves will repeat that cycle of abuse. And whether or not they're going to be able to even hold a job or understand that people can, at a basic level, still be trusted, all of those things have to be sorted out, and they need to get professional care as soon as possible.
I want you both to weigh in on this issue. To me, it was just incredibly striking, so I really want your expert view, that when the police got to the home, the mother was puzzled that they were there. And even as they went through the home, where, according to authorities, they found some of the children shackled, she was still kind of puzzled.
And this is where I believe that there might be a piece where either of the parents or maybe both was carrying on some type of a delusional thought process, maybe a paranoia, where they actually thought what they were doing was in the good interest of the children. And that's why the mom was so surprised, because somehow in her mind she's had it twisted that this is actually how you take care of your parents.
Oh, I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure that the mother did not think they were doing anything wrong. As warped as that sounds, I think the mother at least probably thought that she wasn't doing anything wrong and she was doing what was best for her children.
Let me ask you this again, back to the question of who knew what, when, if anyone did. If someone did know, if it is proven that other people knew that these children were being abused, are we looking at potential extension of prosecution of those individuals?
Oh, sure. I mean, the only one I've seen is the grandmother speaking, and she says they were the perfect family. So I don't know that there's going to be many other people that were involved with exposure to these children. I think the success that they've had, if you want to call it success, in carrying this out for so long has been the isolation, has been keeping them from other people.
And I can't let you go without asking you a question that I know our viewers have at home. How did child welfare, I mean, this was registered as a school, this home. Right. How is it that other authorities, other officials didn't have contact?
California law does not require private schools to be inspected.
Right. And that is really scary because they're not really subject to any of the laws or the policies. But I think the other part of it is, it's probably hard for people who have witnessed some weirdness, some secrecy, to say, I'm going to step forward and actually report them for a welfare check. But I just think this is a good lesson for all of us that, hey, the worst thing that can happen to you is be a little embarrassed.
Totally.
But hey, you can really be saving lives. And we know that in every single day, about 5 children in America die of child abuse and maltreatment. And so if there's any potential in preventing that, maybe people can just be a little bit more stringent and go ahead and report it and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, cross that line. If it's going to save lives, cross the line. Judy Ho, Bobby Chacon, great conversation. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.